over 70% of world trade takes place within a rules-based structure.
My question comes down to the intertwining of middle powers. Because if there is to be a bulwark against authoritarianism and wayward state actors, I believe it is found within that middle power. If Canada's goals are the same as other middle powers, is there a power in those numbers that allow Canada to craft an alternative to the great power system? You know, a network of interests that can hold its own, if you will, against the individual dictates of an authoritarian China, a rogue US, or any of the lone acting hegemons?
I think the short answer to your question is up to a point. An interesting statistic that not a lot of people talk about is the World Trade Organization tells us that as of today, over 70% of world trade takes place within a rules-based structure. In other words, United States is not the only country that dictates how trade happens. And I think it's important for us, therefore, to put that in some perspective. But the other up to a point is that the way in which power is exercised often depends on the use of force, and it really depends on the capacity of middle powers to take their own self-defense and self-interest, to take it seriously, and secondly, to keep on pointing out, by the benefit of the power of our example, that in fact, when we do work together successfully, we are able to provide more predictability, more security, more safety, more opportunity to more people. And I think you're seeing now in our foreign policy, we're reaching out very deliberately. The Prime Minister, you can watch him as he goes, right? I mean, he's going all over the place, and there are some people in Canada who say, well, why doesn't he just stay home? And the answer is because we can't afford to. We can't afford to take the ostrich approach to foreign policy. We have to be out there working with other countries that believe, for sometimes for different reasons, but that believe in many of the things that we believe in. So the Scandinavians, the Europeans, many Latin American countries, many African countries, many Asian countries, with whom we have a whole variety of trading agreements, and other agreements, want us to be working together, want us to be working effectively. But there is a lot, as you describe it, there's a lot of rogue activity going on out there. Some of it being carried out by new kinds of rogue actors. You have more organized crime at the international level. You have people who make money from trafficking drugs, trafficking women, trafficking migrants, creating havoc, kidnapping and shooting people in order to expand their own power. One of our close friends, Mexico, has been wrestling with dealing with a large element of organized crime within their own country. And then you have other political leaders acting without regard to the concept of international law, without regard to the concept that there are rules that are supposed to apply to all of us. And so does that affect the ability of middle powers to, make their way and get their way in the world? Of course it does. But it doesn't eliminate it entirely. And it also, I think, reinforces those of us who believe very strongly that Canada's international engagement is not a game. It's not an exercise in nostalgia. It's not about trying to get back to, a wonderful world we once had. It's a very tough-minded assessment of what we need to do to be able to make our way in the world more effectively as a matter of interest, and also how we can do it in a way that's follows certain key moral principles, and principles that point out that we're not only interested in ourselves, we're interested in what happens to other people, and in good measure, because what happens to other people also helps us in the world. So it can become a more benign circle if we work at it.